Hey everybody, watch this review here that you look at the Play Arts Final Fantasy VII Advent Children's Tifa. Now, before coming to YouTube, I always used to pronounce this character's name as Tifa, as in like Tiffany, but I've been since corrected that the name is pronounced Tifa, as in, I guess, Queen Latifah. So yeah, that is one small way that YouTube has changed my life. Thanks, YouTube! Actually, I do have a bit of a Final Fantasy story, but you know what, I think I'll hold off until the Vincent video to tell it, just because it's more relevant. For those of you not familiar with Final Fantasy Advent Children, this was the movie sequel to Final Fantasy VII. Here's a quick look at the box, because I bought this quite a long time ago and have unboxed it, obviously. I think it was one of the first Play Arts figures I bought. I should also mention that the character comes with alternate hands, seen here, just because I don't actually have them. They're open-handed and, you know, ungloved. This is probably my favorite costume for the character, although, you know, I kind of think that the figure lacks a lot of the energy and personality shown in the movie. I mean, the face just looks a little bit too passive and everything. Other than that, you know, it's a pretty good sculpt with a wide range of articulation, so no real complaints there. Tifa has made a lot of video game appearances. She was first in Final Fantasy VII. Next, I believe she was in Eargiz, a fighting game for the PlayStation 1. After that, the Kingdom Hearts games. Then finally, Crisis Core, I believe, is the most recent title. She has had a different number of costumes, but as mentioned, this one's the one I like the best, although she hasn't appeared in it as often as some of the other outfits, I believe. In terms of articulation, we have a rotating wrist here. There are actually, I think, two sets of alternate hands. One open hand glove, one open hand unglove, I believe. Single point here at the elbow. Rotation here up the bicep midway through. It's concealed by this little ribbon here. Ball jointed shoulder, okay range of motion. Head slightly impeded by the hair, which is a soft rubber. Now for the waist, we have a torso joint, which goes forward back in addition to a full 360 if you want it to. The interesting thing is the outer vest portion here is one piece of soft plastic, although it's harder than the inner vest portion, I mean the actual shirt portion here. But they're two separate things, so you can actually move the inner one, I believe, but it'd be tough. Which, you know, is a really nice touch instead of just fusing the two and just making this an extension. Then down here at the leg, we have a full range of motion. It's a ball joint. Actually, I thought it was a full range of motion, but yeah, it looks like it might just not go out too far, but hey, you can still get some kicks. Which is weird, because I could have sworn that, like, she's kicking all the way out here, but I guess they probably have the hip turned out a little bit, so it's sort of kicking out like this, maybe? I don't know. Now, in addition to that, we also have a point of rotation here at the upper hip. Then we have a hinge here at the knee, in addition to a, well, I guess kind of just back-forward motion here at the ankle. I thought it had an additional point we're allowed to rotate, but I was probably just getting it mixed up with the hip. So yeah, decent range of motion. Unfortunately, the clothing does somewhat impede the character. But I mean, this is the costume. Kind of has a whole Renoa vibe to it, too. This portion is a soft but sort of thick rubbery plastic. So you can get some give there in case you want to pose the character in a different manner. I mean, you really can get some kind of cool fighting poses going on. This probably isn't one of them, but, you know, if you try, you can get something really decent. I do need to start using these stands, just because you can't pose these things really well on felt when you're doing this, but final thoughts. You know, it's definitely a pretty solid figure. I suppose that fans of the character probably will like it quite a bit. In the whole Final Fantasy hierarchy, Tifa doesn't rank near the top, but I can appreciate the amount of detail in this figure because you even have all this little stitch work and the seams on the shoes and everything. Although she's really not my favorite figure from the line, this is a pretty decent figure nonetheless. So, until next time.